Welcome back to the Pokemon Black No Experience run, where that news thingy should have been displaying an important message. Hard confirmed! Yeah, I basically decided that I would actually take the beginning of this part just to discuss my thoughts on Omega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire. Yes, indeed, Ruby and Sapphire remakes, confirmed. TM Energy Ball, that's actually pretty nice and surprisingly out in the open. Speaking of which, breeders, you're gonna get a lot more annoying when I decide to do Black 2, but that's for another time. But anyway, back to who confirmed. Yeah, my basic thoughts on this. To be honest, I'm not entirely sure what to think. I'm one of the, according to a lot of comments on videos describing Hoenn Confirmed, I am one of the minority who really actually didn't want Ruby and Sapphire remakes. I think I might have actually mentioned it in an earlier video, maybe in this very series, I'm not sure, where I actually said that I honestly would prefer not to have remakes. The thing is, I do realise that transferring, well, mainly my justification for not having remakes is because the original Game Boy games, Red, Blue, Yellow, Gold, Silver, Crystal, those were not compatible with any of the newer games at all. So you needed remakes of them to actually be able to use Pokemon from those games in later ones. Ruby and Sapphire are still perfectly playable and still perfectly compatible with newer games. However, I do understand there is a huge amount of hassle required in transferring Pokemon from Ruby and Sapphire up to, let's say, Gen 6. You gotta transfer them over to Gen 4, which requires an original an original DS or a DS Lite, not a DSi. Honestly, I always hated the DSi and never realised why anyone would give up their GBA compatibility, so yeah, but then again, some people did get the DSi, so I'll be fair to them. Anyway, you need one of those systems to transfer to Gen 4, then you need to have two DS systems handy to transfer to Gen 5, and then you need to have Pokebank, which requires a monthly fee now, to transfer to Gen 6. So I understand, yeah, remaking them is going to make it quite a bit easier to be able to have Hoenn Pokemon in, again, the more recent games. So I understand that. Something else that I thought was quite interesting that J-Wits brought up in his video is that Ruby and Sapphire are probably some of the more underrated Pokemon games because they came out at around the time when the original demographic who grew up with the first Pokemon games, and that's me, by the way. I played Pokemon Red when I was 6, so I'm sort of, in early kindergarten, so I was pretty much in the very first, original demographic of Pokemon fans, and I really grew up with the series. I really understand what J-Wits is talking about. By the time the third generation hits, the original demographic was in high school, or, well, middle school if you're going by American systems, but yeah, I was about maybe 13 when Ruby and Sapphire came out. Late primary school, getting into high school. So as third generation really kicked off, the original demographic was all in high school, basically. And they were starting to get to the age when liking quote-unquote kiddie stuff was a cardinal sin that you would be brutally bullied for. So, yeah, the original generation was, again, getting to that age where it was being considered quote-unquote uncool to like Pokemon. Now, believe me, I really, really understand this. I was there. I was in high school as a Pokemon fan, and believe me, that is not an experience I want to go through again. That was, I will say, I was bullied a lot. Everywhere you go, you get people going, oh, you like Pokemon! And yeah, because of that, there really weren't that many people to actually discuss the games with. I first got into competitive around the time of third generation, and I wasn't aware of most of the competitive websites. Of course, this is also back in a time when I'd become horribly disillusioned with internet forums, and I still am. So much cyberbullying, but anyway. But, yeah. Basically, if I wanted to talk about Pokemon to people at school, the only people I could were people a couple of years lower than me in school. And, yeah, that was really annoying. There were very few of us in high school who were still Pokemon fans, and growing up in that time, living through that time is really an annoying experience that I honestly do not want to have to go through again. But basically, yes, suffice to say, because of that, a lot of people missed out on Ruby and Sapphire. And that's part of the reasons why Remakes is a... Oh, this is going to be fun. Sorry to interrupt my train of thought here. Let's go for a social experiment. Let's see if Reshiram, 14 levels lower than you, with Rain, can still 1-hit KO a Paris with a fire move. I'm betting yes. And good, it didn't use Spore or anything. Okay, let's see how much this does. Fusion Flare, 100 base power move, Stab, even though it's raining, 4 times super effective, yep, 1-hit KO, despite being 14 levels lower. That just goes to show just how badly we can Wormadam. Okay, well that's the Sandy Cloak version, so please tell me this one doesn't have Fissure. It might have Fissure, actually. But yeah, going for Overheat, hoping for a 1-hit KO, might not because Wormadam is kind of defensive. And it didn't. This thing might have... Okay, use whatever you want then. That was a critical hit. Okay, you're going down. Back to my original train of thought. So yeah, 3rd Gen was pretty underlooked by a lot of the original fans. It wasn't until, I like to think of it like this. 3rd Gen was almost the dark age of Pokemon in a way, because most of the original demographic, again, were getting to that age when it was uncool to like Pokemon. Then 4th Gen. Now, 4th Gen, I didn't really like all that much. 4th Gen is still my least favourite in terms of main games. My favourite in terms of competitive, but least favourite in terms of main games. The thing is, though, something that I have found out by being around the internet a lot is that a lot of newcomers to the series started with Generation 4, Diamond and Pearl. Like, I've met a lot of younger Pokemon fans who say, my first game was Diamond or Pearl, and it really seems like this is a big trend. So it looks like 4th generation was the era of new blood when it came to the community, so that was at least a pretty healthy thing. 5th generation, though, was the time when the original Poké fans were all at university, and this was the time when it was suddenly cool to like Pokemon again. Everyone was rediscovering the nostalgia of the past. You go to uni, you meet a bunch of like-minded friends, and you realise, hey, liking a really good game series, you know, who cares if it's aimed at kids? It's a really good game series, and liking it is definitely not uncool. In fact, it's actually cool again. So 5th Gen was really capitalised on that, and that's why 5th Gen, I think, got a lot of attention, and really, really grew to shine. So yes, now that Pokemon is officially cool again, oh, nasty plot, that could be bad if you're a Lucario, but considering you're a Riolu, I think Riolu has very bad special attacks, so anyway. But yeah, basically, now that Pokemon is officially cool again, why not, you know, give the people who find it cool again a chance to experience the one generation they probably missed, and that's actually a good thing. Ruby and Sapphire remakes, yeah. Now, again, I've always been kind of a fan of remakes, provided they're not really bare bones remakes like Shadow Dragon. Well, arguably, Shadow Dragon admittedly made Fire Emblem 1 actually playable again, because Fire Emblem 1 is, like Pokemon Red and Blue, almost unplayable by modern standards due to how glitchy and horribly broken its game mechanics were. Shadow Dragon fixed that. The problem that I had with Shadow Dragon is it added a lot of... It didn't add very much new apart from extra graphics, and what new stuff it did add were very detrimental to the game rather than being better. Most people really disliked the reclass system for removing character originality. Fortunately, it got better in Awakening. And everyone utterly loathed the new side quest system requiring you to kill off your own characters. But anyway, provided they don't do that to Ruby and Sapphire, I'm fine with remakes. And yes, it's been confirmed they are in fact full remakes, not really sequels, which I'll admit is a little annoying, but I guess hopefully they'll add some new stuff. They'll almost certainly keep the Battle Frontier, because, yeah, one thing that I'll mention, a lot of people keep going on and on and on about how, oh, X and Y had a terrible post-game. You might want to think back a little bit. I still think the original Ruby and Sapphire, not Emerald, Emerald fixed it. Ruby and Sapphire, the originals, had by far the worst post-game in the entire series, bar none. You wanna know what new areas there are? After you beat the game? Battle Tower and Sky Pillar. That's literally it. Battle Tower, Sky Pillar, and getting the Beldum from Steven. That is literally, possibly... Oh, and the one optional conversation with Team Magma and Team Aqua at Mount Pyre. But wait a minute, was that Emerald only? I think that was actually Emerald only, so maybe that wasn't even Ruby and Sapphire. Anyway, Ruby and Sapphire, I still maintain the single worst post-game in the entire series. So, hopefully, they do Emerald's post-game. Actually leaves me to wonder, who's the champion going to be? Steven or Wallace? I'm kind of guessing they'll go with Steven because he was the champion in the original Ruby and Sapphire, which they're remaking, but now is not the time for speculation. Anyway though, I'm all for remakes because they allow a new generation of players to experience an old game. And I really don't want to be one of those people who... Yes, you said that Kakuna after B-Drill, that's weird. Who are all like... who are like assume that, you know what, I'm going to see how that... I just decided to troll him at this point and just... I wanted to see if he only had Harden, and I think he only has Harden, from what I can see here. So eventually I'll stop toying with him, but for the time being, it gives me more time to explain. I really hate it when these people, when a lot of people keep saying, oh, everyone's played the original game, there's no need for remakes. I've said it before, I'll say it again, Chrono Trigger really had that for me. A lot of reviewers dismissed it saying, oh, everyone's played the original. Guess what? Chrono Trigger was never released in Europe. You've just been horrible racists. Okay, that was a little extreme, but I will admit, it is kind of racist to assume that everyone played the original Chrono Trigger when it was only released in America. Anyway, that's the end of my rant on that. But yes, I'm all for remakes. It's already time to explore the grass for wild Pokemon. There actually isn't that much in the way of decent Pokemon in the grass here. It's actually kind of weird. There's a lot of Pokemon, I mean a huge amount of Pokemon that you can catch here, totally different to anything in the previous two areas. However, the vast majority of them are really weak, unevolved, and the one thing that I find really annoying, you can get Pinsir and Heracross here, which would be amazing! If it weren't for the fact that for some reason, even in dark grass, they only show up at level 50. If they were even level 60, they'd both be immensely useful. But at level 50, they're really not. So, really, there are only like one or two Pokemon here that are actually kind of useful. And that's not one of them. Hello, Male Combi. Chugga Conroy, I think, has said before that he considers Male Combi to be the worst Pokemon in the game. This may be one of the few times where I'd agree with him. Yeah, Male Combi has so much wrong with it. Can't evolve, stuck with horrible stats, terrible typing, only 4 moves in its level up move pool, relies on Gust for stab, really. Admittedly, it does get some alright move tutor moves, but Endeavor is really the only one that's... I will admit that I saw the epic, quote-unquote, epic combi sweep on YouTube, and I will admit that was very smart use of Endeavor. I will admit, really made me see it in a different light in a way. Like, honestly, I was telling someone there's no way you could ever make Male Combi work. Because they were saying like, oh yeah, any Pokemon could work with the right moveset. I was like, no. Male Combi, you cannot make Male Combi work. And then I saw the epic combi sweep, and I realised that's actually quite creative use of Endeavor there, and I will give him props for that. But it's still reliant on Baton passing, and any Pokemon is good when Baton pass a lot of boosts. At least he didn't Baton pass double team this time. Ugh. Speaking of luck, lucky chance. We have 2 Cherrims here. Unfortunately, they're stuck on a rainy route, so no sunny form for you guys. And since they're both level 58, I can really catch either of them. So yeah, gonna have to take out one and weaken the other. Now, I am most likely not going to be using a Cherrim, just because Cherrim is really only good in double battles, and believe me, Cherrim plus Groudon equals painful destruction. Hey, another link to Ruby Sapphire remakes. But outside of double battles, they're pretty pointless. And because none of the sort of super bosses in this game that I'm going after are fought in double battles, Cherub is probably not going to be too useful to me. So I don't really care. I'll catch this one anyway, but I'm probably not going to use her. Anyway, though, while I am all for remakes, back to my early train of thoughts, one thing that is, well, a little annoying to me is that X and Y, I feel, kind of really let me down. X and Y, and I've already explained this a lot, I've got a few videos dedicated to this, but X and Y to me really felt excessively pandery, stuck in the past, very nostalgia heavy, and very much focused more on the past rather than new games. They really didn't feel that much like new games to me because of the new Pokemon had such little presence. And following that up with remakes is kind of a little iffy. Don't get me wrong, I like Generation 6 competitive. I think it's a hell of a lot better than Gen 5 competitive, which was filled with horrible broken stuff. Not that Gen 6 doesn't have its fair share, but at least it's a little bit more minimal, and you can tell the things that did end up broken were designed to be powerful to begin with, like as in the Megas, whereas Excadrill I don't think was meant to be designed to be overpowered, but it ended up overpowered, and that's probably a worse example of game design! Okay, here's hoping the rain will save me. Yes, it did, just barely. Anyway, but I will say that if you've got, you know, something that feels excessively past pandery with X and Y, and then you follow that up with remaking a past game, not sure how I feel about that. Gen 6 might end up being one of my low point generations if it's purely characterized by the past. So, that is still just a little worrying to me. But, hey, I'm willing to see, and in a few days we'll be finally getting some actual footage, so that's gonna be cool. But anyway, back to the topic at hand. I think I can finally stop talking about the remakes now, because we're catching a Rapidash. Rapidash is probably, to me, the only worthwhile Pokemon on this entire route. Yeah, that's saying something. Because they come at level 59, which is very, very nice, they're probably the only halfway decent Pokemon here. Like, again, Heracross would be amazing if you got it at a higher level, but for some reason, even in the Dark Grass, it's only level 50, which is just weird. But anyway, now, I will admit that, getting a female Combi, evolving it via Rare Candy into Vespiquen, and being able to use that, I'm thinking it would be cool to take on Cynthia going like spam, defense boosts, toxic everything, heal order and substitutes, and just nickname it Elodie maybe, and then go through the whole battle going, long live the Vespiquen! That would be amusing, but I doubt it would actually work really in practice, so yeah, and rare candies are a very precious resource, and believe me, there are a couple of Pokemon we'll be seeing later that, okay, you might be wondering why I'm freezing on this, this Pokédex description. I was kind of laughing my head off here, because it talks about how its blazing mane sparkles. Admit it, that's not entirely the most manly of descriptions. Now, I had a whole bunch of, names in mind for this. Part of me was thinking of nicknaming it after the horse in Shadow of the Colossus. Unfortunately, after seeing that Pokédex entry, I cannot call it anything else. So congratulations, your name is now Sparkle. Oh, wow. Yeah. Yeah, anyway, that is everything we need to get from this area. Like I said, rare candies. There are a few Pokemon that we'll be getting later that we would really want to evolve with rare candies, but for now, in-game, it's almost midnight, it's heavily raining, and it's now not raining anymore. Let's go take refuge in Lacunosta Town. Hopefully this place will give us some refuge from the storm. Interesting. Why is it necessary to come back before dark, I wonder? Well, there's a Pokemon Center here, but doesn't this town look a little, well, oddly deserted to you? Doesn't seem to be that many people here. The music is very nice, though. I really like the music in this town. This town, I feel, has a very interesting design to it and interesting music. It was a bit wasted on a post-game only town, in my opinion, which is why I'm really glad that it played a bigger role in the plot of the sequels. But that's for another day. Hey, there's someone in here. To me, that sounds more like the sound that Nicole Swift's recorder makes, but, anyway. Well, that's interesting. Let's see, she's asleep. I guess, yes. Can you tell me why, everyone's inside their houses? So there's a big hole in the ground. Oh. There was a big crashed down. Inside was big, scary, really scary. And that's all we're getting. That's all we're gonna get. So, that's a little cryptic, but apparently, a big scary lives somewhere in a giant hole in the ground near this town. Is that the reason why everyone is staying inside at night? If we look really closely off the side of this area, we can actually see a cave. Once again, the central theme of this game. Okay, that's a little bit more coherent. So, scary monster is there, and it comes out at night, so you have to be good, otherwise the monster will get you. But it must be a Pokemon, right? So, that's not that scary, we can just go and catch it. And you know what? I think we'll make that our next quest. There isn't really much to do here, but hey, a town living so much in fear of a monster that no one goes out at night? That's a little sad. Why don't we help these people by, well, let's just say this. I am Pirate, and I will catch your monster. Well, at least the police are happy. Oh, this girl. Now, I believe if you have a Shaymin traded over, she will give you a Graceator flower that will let you change its form. But don't quote me on that, I've never had a Shaymin in my life. Oh, this place... Okay, this person is actually really cool. I almost forgot about this. This is really nice. If we look at this, we can see what we got the badges with. Purloin, Lillipup, Snivy, Patrat, and Panpour. Got the basic badge with Rock and Roller, that guy was a hero, and that Sork cleaned up at the end. Insect badge, pretty easy. Pidove did not do very well, but Darumaka certainly made up for it. Bolt badge, those Emolgas were really irritating. Dwebble did not do its job very well at all, but Yamask kind of picked up the slack. Oh boy, the Quake badge. Yeah, Yamask was the real hero there, but that one was a very tough battle. Jet badge, much easier. As you can see, my Pokemon are a lot stronger here. Emolga, Watchog, Zeb Striker, those were all pretty strong. Freeze badge, I also had stronger Pokemon. Crustle was pretty good, Gerda was great too. And finally, the Legend badge. Beartick really carried the day for that one, but Cofagrigus was pretty useful too. Cofagrigus with its cool power swap attack that cut Haxorus' attack power. And then I think I was able to burn it as well. And then Beartick just dropped Icicles on everything. My first attempt of Drayden, I believe Beartick swept everything with Icicle Crash. Totally worth rigging the clock to winter for that. Now let's check out my new team members. Breakout, Naughty Nature. That's not that bad. Alright moves, but we'll want to get rid of a few of them. B-Barrel, Superfang and Curse are nice, but the real question is, does it have... Yes, it does! Okay, Simple is an excellent ability for a challenge like this. Simple plus Curse equals amazing. We get doubled attack and defense for every time we use Curse, and the speed is not a problem since we're not going to be going first anyway, although I think this thing does have a... Oh, I'm not really sure. Very nice, this B-Barrel. I'm very, 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 very glad that we got this one. Very nice. Now, the downside of Simple is that Superpower will lower our stats double as well, but anyway. Let's check out the one who I renamed off-screen, Mercutio Quiet Nature. That is frankly awful. Lowered speed, increased special attack, which I'm not using. But hey, it comes with close combat right off the bat, that's got to be good. Tybalt, Careful is probably a little better. Decent attacking stats in both, so it can use both physical and special moves relatively well. Oh wow, you really are a Sparkle, you've got a modest nature. You want to be a magic user, don't you? Considering that, well, oh actually, that's actually not that big a difference between attack and special attack. So yeah, Cherub is relaxed, which is actually pretty good nature, I actually think. Worry Seed could be alright for getting rid of troublesome abilities, but apart from that, not that great. Those are our new Pokemon. Now the question is who to put in the party. Both B-Barrel and Golduck will make for good Surf and Waterfall slaves, which we might need coming in. But I don't really want to get rid of Superfang, Superpower, or Curse, so I might want to be going for Golduck here as a better HM slave. And it's got decent attacking stats in both attack and special attack, so it can at least use Curse and Waterfall alright in battle as well. As for the others, oh, I forgot about this one, that Basculin, level 54, mild nature. Yeah, not really the best. Let's see, as much as, well, as much as that nature is bad, I could certainly use close combat and a very powerful physical attack with Swords Dance. Oh, there is also Sparkle, but let's be honest, or Tybalt. I'm really not sure who to go for here. Haze could be helpful if the enemies try to rely on stat boosters. Though, the idea of Swords Dance and Close Combat really... Wait, doesn't have Swords Dance yet, but I can teach it Swords Dance. False Swipe could be alright too for catching, but, and I've got some good TMs to teach these Pokemon too, so next time I'll be teaching them a couple of TM moves. And we'll be heading on out to the Giant Chasm to catch the monster and free this town from its grip of terror. I will see you guys then.